Scams are everywhere. I know, because Uber Eats orders arrive looking anything but like the photo, and I've been a victim to this one too many times. The delivery men text you from +44 numbers with links to items that you didn't even order, and transactions are made in the city of London. Like, I don't even need to expand on that one. Different scenarios, same principles. However, no one talks about the scams hidden in our daily social transactions where our self-respect is on the receipt like an invisible service charge. You would never pay if you knew the real price. If we're not careful, our self-respect cards will be swiped and swiped and swiped and swiped until the debt is so high that we don't even remember a time where we had value. So, what are social transactions? How are they tied to our self-respect? And how do we protect ourselves from losing our self-respect in ways that we don't even realize? If you don't know already, you will know soon. Part 1. The link. What's the link between self-respect and social transactions? Okay, so a social transaction is the exchange part of social exchange theory, a theory that the relationship between two people is created through a process of cost-benefit analysis. Basically, everything is tit for tat, you scratch my back, I scratch yours, etc, etc. Unlike monetary transactions, where prices are usually fixed, during social transactions, your mood, desperation, and ability to be persuaded can instantly alter what you're willing to trade for what another person is offering. An example of this is the barter system, a method of trading goods between two or more people long before Apple Pay changed our lives. For example, if your neighbors were tantalized by the fact that your hen effortlessly squeezed out eggs back to back like an industrial machine, they would beg you to swap it for their baby goat. Under this historical system, trades were subjective. The only thing that decided whether or not you take 2 eggs or 10 eggs in exchange for your fat goat was probably whether or not your sickly child was like starving to death or not. Money replaced the system, and I'm thankful because that means that I won't have to harvest my organs in exchange for acrylic nails and braided hair, because I know that's what these Instagram braiders who are charging some next prices will confidently demand. Even though the barter system died out, except in primary schools where gel pens are still being traded for bubble writes until this day, the concept of subjective value lives on. If your friend buys you KFC today, it's on you next time. If you cook dinner, another person washes the dishes. And in my experience, if a guy has spoken to you for a couple months, he's expecting to get something a little bit different back in exchange for his time, whether it's discussed or not. Anyways, a key difference between the barter system and today's social transactions is that actions are traded for actions opposed to goods being traded for goods. This is where our self-respect is made vulnerable. You can't see, consume, or count the things involved in today's exchanges. Therefore, nothing protects you from unfair trades because you can't calculate what you're giving up in your trade-offs. Also, because the actions might not be traded at the same time, the promise that someone will deliver in the future can be broken, which will leave you as the victim of a scam. You see what I did there? Due to this transactional blindness, we can give away our self-respect by entertaining situations that warp our perception of how much we need to give in order to receive from another person. And over time, our loss of self-respect will stack up like court case evidence. And what's worse is that it's impossible to make action-for-action trades more quantifiable, especially when the actions are different. After all, a man can't rip his literal heart out and trade it with yours to prove his love. We're all stuck in the dark, hoping to receive what we've been promised, clueless as to whether we're flinging our self-respect at another person's feet. At least in the bartering days, we could physically see that trading our family's beloved cow for like a bundle of weeds was stupid before closing the deal. All we have today is blindness, hope, and vulnerability. Part 2. The why. Why do we sometimes compromise on our self-respect? One way that we compromise on our self-respect is through exchanging something for nothing because we see it as a quote-unquote moral good, even if it's not necessary. Like, imagine having a broken leg and travelling on the London Underground, an unforgiving place to anyone who walks at a speed slower than running. Men uniform in their tasting suits weave around tourists like busy ants avoiding obstacles in the dirt, and tube after tube evicts polluted air from the tunnel into the atmosphere, and a dirty breeze cheekily signs a tenancy agreement to settle on your face. Amidst the chaos, you humbly hobble down the escalator while stony-faced Londoners leap over your crutches and side-eye you whilst you struggle, because you're clearly in the way. After finally getting onto the tube, which metallically screams as it moves, you see an elderly man standing. In his eyes, you can see his praise to God for a seat. You take it upon yourself to answer them. And as you're getting off in a couple of stops, you convince yourself that it's no big deal to balance on one leg for a little while. The man gets off, you sit down, another station, another person. This time, they signal for you to give them your seat with a brief heads-up motion that makes them look like they're trying to flick a fringe into a quiff without using their hands. Despite the disrespect, you stand again. You convince yourself that maybe they're just having a bad day and it's fine once again because you're getting off soon. Again, you sit, another station, another person. However, this time, there's no reason for you to stand at all, yet you feel so obliged to give your seat to a stranger who is confused as to why you even offered in the first place, you and your broken leg. After so much standing up and sitting down, standing up and sitting down, you simply decide to stand, and now your seat is permanently available. Even if no one wants your seat, you remain standing, and funnily enough, the entire time you were up and down like a mood swing, there were hundreds of able-bodied people up and down the train who could have given up their seats instead of you having to do it. This analogy highlights the difference between being nice and straight up throwing our self-respect away as if it's not worth anything. A warped ability to discern between moral good and stupidity allows us to trick ourselves into unnecessary suffering. Another way that we may be compromising on our self-respect is in situations where our hunger for what's on offer makes us pay extortionate prices for the bare minimum. For example, when we're shopping, there comes a point in inflation where an item is no longer worth it, even if we wanted to buy it initially. And for me, this was the day that I saw Kipling Angel slices priced at £4 Great British pounds in Tesco. I just had to kiss my teeth and head to the till with unpurchased bread and my head hung low. Usually, if you can't afford it and it's not worth it, you're just not going to buy it. But let's say one day this changes and every CEO of every supermarket in the country decides to give us a choice in how we can pay off our food shop. It's a new way to pay. You can either purchase using money or pay as much as you can and then cover the debt with a mystery humiliation act. Bigger the debt, the crazier the debt. At first, you're loving it. You're buying extra treats by standing on the tills and serenading customers with your horrific voice because embarrassment isn't real and you're just getting free stuff to do it. Then it spirals into purchasing entire weekly shops by erratically shaving your head and chasing children around the store on your hands and feet. And then it gets worse to the point where you begin doing things that even those in poverty would rather starve or steal than do. All this time, you had enough money to cover the cost, but you paid with your reputation because you didn't value it as much as you did the figures in your bank account. However, in hindsight, you're haunted by the fact that you can't get a refund. When you're shopping, there comes a point where you say, nah, this isn't worth it. But when the only restriction on what you can purchase is you, how low can you go? Part 3. The how. How to catch ourselves when we're slipping. Without knowledge of our value, there is no self-respect. Our self-respect is like a branch holding leaves that represent our value, and stronger branches prevent leaves from falling to the ground. If the branch is weak, the leaves will fall, dry out, and get trampled on by passers-by who simply like the sound of the crunch. Therefore, we must understand ourselves before we even think about trading what we can offer with others. Who are you with just your resources? What can you do with just what you have already? And is there anything that you don't even realize as part of your value? Once you discover the answers to these questions, you have material to work with. You'll be able to use your new knowledge to build yourself up with your bare hands. And when you're done, you'll be shocked by the cheek of someone to even suggest that you exchange your castle for their toy house. Always pay attention to your inner beauty and build it up such that the gap between what you have and what others can offer you is so wide, it's impossible for your worth to be undervalued. To conclude, whether a robber breaks into your home to steal for his family or for his greed, you're still going to phone the police. Likewise, no matter the reasons behind having a one-sided social exchange, we will still reap the consequences of losing our value. Once you're accustomed to taking less than you're putting in, you'll eventually give everything for nothing. Never use your self-respect as a form of currency, because at the end of your life, you will groan when your flesh and your body are spent. Don't tap your card if your self-respect is on the bill. It's a foolproof way to avoid getting caught in a scam. Anyways, thanks for watching, and until next Friday, Alicia, the adult. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it more than you could possibly know. Shout out to my 13 subscribers. And if you're new here, hi stranger, welcome to the club. If you find it in your heart to leave a like, comment, or subscribe, that would be appreciated. Also in the top right, there should be a link to my previous video. And if you like this one, you should like that one. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed watching this as much as I enjoyed making it. And I'll see you next Friday at 3 p.m.
Okay, cool. I'm closing the laptop now.